good afternoon, good morning. It is an honor to be here. Listen, this is one of those interviews where I'm highlighting a local community hero. You can pause the video and search Heroes in Akron, Ohio. This guest will show up. So without further ado, Jess Rist, CEO of IBH in Akron, Ohio, a local hero, an inspirational mentor, just so many different things, too many to list in this 30-second introduction. Without further ado, Jess, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Lett. That's very kind of you to say. My name is Jess Rist, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of IBH Addiction Recovery. We are an addiction treatment provider located in Akron, Ohio. We've been serving the community since 1970, and we're really passionate about helping people on their path to recovery.
What's incredible about Jess is her career journey, and it's something that I've been fortunate enough to learn about, and I've been truly inspired to want to give back even more. Now, Jess, your career has focused on serving and uplifting others in various roles. Tell us about your motivation for serving others.
Sure. So ever since I was a young child, I've always just been really plugged in and aware of what's going on in my community. So I think I was maybe 8 years old when I wrote a letter to my hometown government that I suggested that they use a piece of vacant land for a deer sanctuary. And I don't know if my parents ever actually sent the letter. I don't really know to this day, but I saw that there was a need and there was this opportunity in my community. And so that's kind of where it all started. And then as I got a little bit older, my aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer. And for anyone out there who, has gone through that experience, it's really challenging. And you feel so powerless when someone receives that diagnosis. And so after she was diagnosed with breast cancer, we started participating in local walks and awareness events and fundraisers for her because it felt like it was really our only opportunity to, have some control over this powerless situation. And then when she eventually passed from her breast cancer, I developed this unwavering commitment to supporting the community in any way possible. So I just dove in and started doing fundraising and awareness events and just giving back to the community through volunteerism and different ways. So from a very young age, I noticed that there was a need and I felt like I could help.
Wow, thank you so much for that incredibly impactful backstory, really to provide context throughout this interview. Now, Jess, please tell us, you touched on it, but why continuously showing up for vulnerable communities? Why now? And why is that something that you focus so heavily on?
Yeah, so I think it's something that I focus so heavily on a lot in the line of work that we do. People who are struggling with addiction and mental health disorders often don't get the kind of love and attention that they deserve and that they need to fully heal from, their disorder. And, when you think about my aunt, for example, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, the community really rallied around her. She had a lot of support. She had the places to go, the right facilities, all of that. And because of that diagnosis, well, the very same should happen for someone who is struggling with mental health or addiction. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. So in my work, I really try to create a space that is, that same high level experience for our clients in our care. And it's so important to consistently show up for them because for many of our clients, no one ever has shown up for them. And so
Wow.
it's not just me, but it's our whole team. We have that mindset of, I'm going to show up for this person every single day and help them learn to love themselves.
Wow. And I will say, Jess, thank you for showing up. Thank you for always showing up for everyone. Now, you have been honest and open about the challenges of working in nonprofit, technology infrastructure, funding restrictions, etc. You are extremely optimistic about your nonprofit, but others in the region to do the heavy lifting and fill any void. Where does that optimism come from?
Yeah. So one thing that I didn't mention is I kind of have an interesting, I think, trajectory to how I got to where I am. I went to school for sports administration. I worked for the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, that's my background, is in sports. And so I came from that, not necessarily corporate, but kind of corporate mindset. We were not scarce for resources in those fields. And then coming to nonprofit, it was just totally different. And I think people think about nonprofits as like these piddly little charities, and they're just trying to do their best. But at the end of the day, it is still a business. I just don't make a profit at the end of the day. And so having that business mindset has been really helpful. And I have to say, nonprofit professionals are some of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. We're really scrappy. We wear a lot of hats because we have to, because funds are so limited. And so that really helps us all kind of work together to get the job done at the end of the day, because it's about the mission. It's about the people that we serve. And so we have that motivator. And I think that's the greatest motivator. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to make more money or turn a profit. I'm trying to save lives. And so that is what kind of motivates me and encourages me in this space.
Now, Jess, you have to tell us, is this the year for a Browns Super Bowl?
I no comment there. I wish.
Now, you wear so many hats, personal, professional, you're all the things. You're speaking to colleges. How do you manage it all?
Yeah, that's a great question. I keep track. I have lists upon lists. I keep my entire life in a spreadsheet. I get that from my father. I'm very organized in that sense of I need to make sure that I'm on it all the time. So I keep track of a lot of what I do just to make sure that I'm showing up, because I would hate to promise something to someone or say I'm going to be there and not show up as my full authentic self and give them my best. So I do try to keep, a pretty tight calendar and an organized space for myself.
And you have to tell us, as a follow-up to that, how do you take care of yourself?
Yeah, great question. So it's still a work in progress for me, because I just want to give and I want to support and I want to be there for people. And we tell our clients all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to refill. You need to take care of yourself before you can give back. And so I'm trying to take my own advice. But some of the things that I do for my own self-care, I love to exercise. So whether that's getting out in the trails and going for a run, or going to the gym, doing yoga. And I'm also a huge reader. I love to read all kinds of books. And so to me, there's nothing better than just getting lost in a good book.
Wow, I love that. And I would agree. Getting lost in a good book, for me, it feels like my safe space.
Absolutely.
Now, as a CEO leading a nonprofit in the region, you're an inspiration to so many women. What advice would you give to any woman afraid to pursue leadership opportunities?
Yeah. So I have a couple thoughts about that. But, one of being a woman in leadership, it was so important to me to constantly give back to women who are interested in moving up in leadership, because I didn't always have that as I was growing in my career. So I made a commitment to, if anyone wants to talk, if they need a mentor, they, need advice, want me to look at their resume, like, I'm your person, would love to help you. So I'm going to plug that. But then my advice would be to just be yourself and to keep showing up every single day. There's going to be people who are going to try to knock you down, who want to see you fail, who are going to question you, who are going to push you and challenge you. Just take all of that as an opportunity to grow and just keep showing up.
Wow, I love that. That really can be a theme of this interview, is keep showing up. And Jess truly embodies that. Now, your 2025 Impact Report was recently released. What's a success story that doesn't show up in the report?
Yeah, so many. Obviously, because of the work that we do, we have to be really mindful about how we share stories because of client confidentiality. And so I think our impact report, while highlights a lot of great work that we're doing, there's a lot of missing components of it. And that's that human element because of that confidentiality. So there's quite a few, but I'll share a couple that I think are, really special to me. We had a client recently who he was really struggling with his mental health while he was in treatment. And we weren't really sure how he was going to do or how he was going to progress. But our team just wrapped around him and really gave him all of the support that we could in the time that he was here while he was in the residential treatment program. And he and I had a heart to heart, and I felt really connected to him. And then the next day he was gone. And I had that little internal panic of like, where did this client go? Is he okay? And turned out he graduated successfully.
Wow.
And stepped down into a lower level of care, which was awesome. And then now he's married, he's expecting his first child, and he has a full-time job that pays well with benefits. And, he's just happy and healthy and back in the community. And there's so many stories like that of families being reunited, people finding jobs, finding homes, getting cars, going back to school, starting businesses. I mean, it's endless, the success stories that come out of IBH Addiction Recovery.
And I will say, Jess, that is exactly the type of impact you are making in the region and that everyone should know about. You and so many other nonprofits in the region are doing great work day in and day out. Tell us, what exciting updates should viewers know about?
Sure, with addiction recovery or IBH in general?
IBH in general.
IBH in general. So a couple things. There's been a lot of exciting stuff happening. We recently acquired another nonprofit out in the Wadsworth area. It's called IBH Francis House, and it is a men's recovery house. So that's for anyone who steps down once they complete treatment and they don't really have a safe place to go. And so they can stay in that recovery house and live there while they work on their recovery plan and kind of transition back to the community. So that's a really big focus of ours right now is housing. I think we all know that affordable housing is a huge issue. And so that's something that, to kind of be on the lookout is more IBH housing in the community to support people so that way they can live, a life of long-term recovery.
Yes, thank you so much for that update. And Jess is being humble. She is doing amazing things every day that is being highlighted throughout so many different media platforms. And so that update is just incredible as to what it looks like to support the community with vulnerability as a local hero. Now, Jess, for anyone inspired by this interview, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, reach out anytime. You can email me at jessr@ibh.org. Call us at 330-644-4095. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Would absolutely love to share more about the amazing work we're doing here at IBH Addiction Recovery and see how I can support you in the community as well.
And the contact information that Jess just provided will be shared in the description. So please reach out, please connect. You do not have to suffer alone, but also it does take a community, it takes a village, and we can support one another. Jess, as we conclude this incredible interview, please tell us what takeaways from this interview should viewers leave with?
Yeah, so many good things. I think like what you just said, Dr. Lett, is that it takes a village. And we are all impacted by addiction, whether you think you know someone personally or not. You never really know what someone's going through. So it could be a loved one, it could be a neighbor, a friend, a colleague. So just be supportive and uplift your community and provide that support. Connect them to IBH, connect them to another provider in the community. But it really does take a community, take a village to support and have a healthier community overall.
Thank you so much for that. And Jess, you have saved someone's life with this interview. I know that. I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your incredibly busy day. And listen, I told her, can I just have 30 minutes? Jess, her schedule is booked for the next year, right? So taking 30 minutes is a blessing and an honor that I do not take lightly. With that, Jess, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. This interview has saved someone's life.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was so great to talk with you, and I will always make time for you.